Hi, my name is Natalie, and I am going to go over with you the dispositions for teaching. There are 10 dispositions that we were asked to reflect upon, and I feel that all 10 are essential to becoming a teacher and becoming a good teacher. I'm currently in my 13th year of teaching, and I can honestly say that I aspire to embody each of these characteristics. Some are more natural for me, while others take a bit more effort. I feel that referring back to the self-reflection assessment periodically, that I will be able to keep these traits more fresh in my mind and would be better able to make the attaining these characteristics and all 10 of these traits more realistic for me. So, as teachers, we must believe that all students can learn. I know this sounds like a no-brainer, but when it comes to state testing and standardized testing, which is not always the best measure of our diverse group of students, it starts to get a little tough. I think that it's realistic to measure individual growth for each student, but when we start to lump them together and start comparing them, it starts to move away from that realistic goal. I do absolutely believe that all students can learn when we provide them adequate time and opportunity for that growth based on their individual needs. So I do think that we have to have high expectations that every learner can learn, but we do need to make that individual. I mean, it needs to be specific to the students, whether they're general education or special education. We have to be willing to provide them that opportunity for growth and learning and not just base it on the high expectations of curriculum. As educators, we must be sensitive to individual needs. When we look at a student, it's essential to see the entire child. They come from diverse backgrounds and experiences, but for me, it all comes back to Maslow's hierarchy. Are the students' basic needs being met? In my experience, I've worked with students who come to school hungry because they have no food in their house, or they had slept in the car or in a hotel because they're homeless. And, that makes it difficult for students to learn. So I always try to ensure that my students have their essential needs, their basic needs met. So I make sure that they have food when they need food, that they feel safe and comfortable. Once they feel safe and they know that they can get whatever they need, then they're more open and susceptible to learning. So, we definitely need to make sure that we are in touch with the realities that these children face, like the difficulties that they face in the community. They are real people, and sometimes it's hard to keep that perspective that they have lots of things going on that we may not expect. I think that building relationships is key. Learning cannot occur without trust, so I feel that this is an area that I have mastered. I make a point to get to know each of my students. I like to know what they like, what they don't like, what they're afraid of, what their passions are, what their home lives are like. We talk about their goals and feelings. I try to treat them as part of the learning process. I want them to feel like they have ownership in what they are doing. It's not for me, it's for them. I often find that students are afraid of failure or making a mistake, so they just don't try. So the fourth and final disposition that I feel is a strength for me is that I'm friendly and genuinely caring. I absolutely put my heart and my soul into teaching and developing relationships with my students and with their families. By developing those relationships, I feel that my students want to learn from me, and their parents and their families are willing to support me in teaching their children. The best feeling as a teacher, which is far better than any test score, is knowing that you found a place in the hearts of your students. So when those kids genuinely care about you back, there's no better feeling in the world, and it makes teaching absolutely worth it. So I feel like that that modeling that I do for them, that love and that caring and that confidence just comes back to me through them. So if they can learn that from me, and they learn not to be afraid of learning and not to be afraid of taking chances, then I feel like I've done my job. I do feel that all of the dispositions are essential for learning. I'm not going to reflect on every single one of them today, but I do feel like those are some of my strengths. Being able to build those relationships and make those connections, being that kind and compassionate and passionate teacher. That definitely, I think makes me unique, and makes me an excellent candidate for being a teacher. I definitely like to keep those expectations high and realistic. I want all of my students to be successful, and most importantly, to feel that success in themselves. So I hope you have enjoyed my reflection on the dispositions of teaching, and I look forward to continuing this journey as I become a stronger and better teacher by advancing my education. Thank you.